Hello, welcome to, if you know, you know. We call it Conspiracy Corner.
It's my first time.
It's Bart's first time.
It's this entire side's first time on
cool.
Conspiracy Corner.
Yeah. Gio tried to get in, but we had security throw her out.
Haha. Too bad, Gio.
Sorry, Gio. So today we're talking about a lot of times media and movies take the word conspiracy and turn it into something that sounds very silly so that it discounts whatever you're talking about, right?
Yep.
And what I find so interesting about conspiracies is if you really break them down to even what the government charges people when they charge people for conspiracy, oftentimes it just means several people working together on a grand plan, right? Which is no different than what the media does with marketing campaigns, or what we all have done with marketing campaigns.
Well, they created this idea that conspiracy just means false information, and it's a bogus thing. But the real
definition. Yeah.
The definition of conspiracy is actually a secret plan by a group to do something unlawful or harmful.
So it does have an illegal undertone.
Right.
Specifically against the government.
These things happen, though, too.
It does happen.
So when people think that, oh, well, conspiracies, it's really not an accurate representation of what a conspiracy is, right? So when a bunch of people say, like, well, 9/11 is not a conspiracy, it actually is a conspiracy. It's a bunch of people who got together to do something at the same time that they planned and orchestrated and actually put into
It is
action.
a conspiracy.
It's a conspiracy, literally a conspiracy.
But it jumbles in with all of the... With all
The
of
9/11 never happened.
Conspiracy theories.
it's like, you know, we blew
The
it up
planes
from
were
the inside.
missiles.
And that's wrong too, is theories, because in the scientific community, theory isn't theory.
It's a
hypothesis.
It's a theory.
Is what we use as theory is actually
Hypothesis.
Gravity's a theory. In the scientific community, gravity's a theory. That's how fucking, not set in stone science can be.
Right.
So, so that's kind of what I want to clean up here. I want to start that conversation of cleaning up the word conspiracy, because you notice
That's a conspiracy that they try to hurt the word conspiracy.
well, dude, honestly, yes. It's about It's about that's what Operation Mockingbird was. Like, where the CIA inserts themselves into our news media in order to affect the way that we think about things and make us more susceptible to how they see the world, right? So that's why you have a bunch of fucking neocons and a bunch of neo-libs who want to invade all these countries together while being on different sides of the party spectrum, because they all believe in the same thing, because in my opinion they're programmed to.
Yeah, and to add to that, the way that we look at conspiracies, we think that they're basically bogus and lies, but in reality, if there's facts backing it up, like there are facts where the CIA infiltrated Hollywood and they were pulling strings in media and things like that, if it's happened, then it's not a conspiracy. That's just history.
Why do you think it's so hard for people to believe, even though there's like these documents that are out there floating around?
People want to be seen as smart or intellectual or serious, and so when you start opening up what media has said is history or set in stone or what happened, you start to open that up and say, well, what about how it doesn't quite line up this way? Maybe this happened. Then they go, well, we're just talking about facts over here, and you're talking about something crazy like a conspiracy theory.
Well, I think the messy part of it is because everything is kind of lumped together in one big kind of umbrella and stuff like that. So it's like that's a problem that I have with some like conspiracy theories, is that like there's some truth to it, right? There's some things that you can confirm with certain things, but then they take that and the same person has like this other set of things. It's like there's nothing to really confirm that. You're just kind of like guesstimating based on
That's true, because in the umbrella of conspiracy, right? In the same, you can talk about the JFK murder, and then you can also talk about aliens probe my sister.
Yeah, and it's the same kind of people that are saying both things. So it's like, yeah, there might be some truth in it, but to decipher from what's the crazy shit and what's the like more plausible stuff, it takes a lot of effort and work.
But
Some of them have a logical train of thought, though. Versus the alien probe my sister.
I'm not saying throw it all out, but I'm also not saying accept all of it. I guess like a skeptical eye to everything is probably the safest.
But that's what a skeptical eye is, right? Not accepting the fucking mainstream story of something is a skeptical eye to me.
Yeah.
And so, all that means, not accepting, by the way, doesn't mean like lock, stock, and barrel, I accept 100% of the account.
Right.
I'm like, let's open it up for both sides of discussion. Like, poke holes in the theory, not this 9/11 commission shit where we're just like, hey, there are a bunch of things that happen that we think could be interesting or weird, but we're just gonna get rid of all the evidence and let's not talk about it anymore.
Yeah, like if you talk about Building 7, right, which pretty much imploded on its own, then you're a 9/11 denier.
Right. Or
You can't question it. It's like, wait, airplane didn't hit that.
Which one's Building 7?
It's a fucking
it was
building.
on the World Trade Center site.
Yeah, so there's the Twin Towers, right? Building 7 was in the corner.
It collapsed on the same day.
And it fell on its own.
But
Wow.
okay, just to talk about that conspiracy.
What's the explanation for that? Yeah.
A lot of people don't know this, but World Trade Center 7 had serious structural damage to it when the towers collapsed around it. Right. So there were fires burning. So they show you pictures of World Trade Center 7, and you see like 2 little fires in the window, and everyone says, a lot of conspiracy theories guys go, 2 fires does not knock down a whole building, but the entire opposite side of the building was on fire. You can see pictures of it. So that's what I'm saying, where you can take something like that and look at it on one angle, but if you flip it around, the story does get
See the
told.
shitstorm.
It's all about perspective.
So what you're for is just spinning it all the way around so you can see everything.
At all times.
And it should be open for scrutiny, and you don't get in trouble for scrutinizing it. Like,
But sometimes you get in trouble just for saying, well, okay, let's actually talk to somebody who thinks the moon landing is a conspiracy, right? And then
they're
they
like,
lump you in with them and say you agree with them.
Even though like we're taught like you should question things, you know?
Critical thinking.
Yeah, exactly.
I don't want to question the flat Earth, though. That's kind of pretty solid. I think we all know that flat Earth exists.
I mean, like other
At the end
topics.
of the day, scientifically, flat Earth is just a theory. So you can't just accept it as fact. It's still a theory.
That's true. And we should be able to test it, just like on that Netflix show where they did, and all the evidence showed that it wasn't flat.
Did you heard about the guy who built his rocket?
Oh yeah.
And he died.
He flew it once the first time and came back down, and the second time something happened with the steam, and it like caught his parachute, and it,
that's a part.
when he went in the air, came back down and crashed and died.
Now, some conspiracy theorists would say that the government killed him.
Right.
They set the parachute up, tangled it, so that he would die. Now, I think that that's pretty stupid. But if you want to give me some kind of evidence that says, hey, actually, we looked at his parachute and it was tangled up prior to whatever the fuck, then that's interesting.
Yeah, that's hard evidence.
But people don't, that's what's wrong with supposing conspiracy and actually looking at evidence and going, okay, that's interesting.
You know, it'd be pretty deep if that last trip he did, he actually was like, damn, it is round.
He hits the ground.
Can you imagine he sees, oh shit, it's round.
Yeah.
Ah!
Boom, and then he dies a martyr.
Or he says it into the radio to somebody who also believes in flat Earth. He's like, my God, Bert, it's fucking round. And then Bert's like, he didn't say shit.
Yeah, he's like, and then it cuts to Bert, and Bert just puts the radio down and slides it off the table.
That's a fucking skit idea right there.
Line here.
So one interesting thing that I've heard about the moon landing specifically, speaking of, is that when we landed on the moon with the lander, the moon rung like a bell. So a lot of people are like, well, the moon's some kind of
Like it's hollow or
it's
something?
hollow or some shit.
Wow.
And not like, well, maybe the instrument's fucked up or whatever.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying?
Wait, it rung like the whole planet, or the whole like.
Apparently, it gave a reverberation that was not like the whole fucking moon
Like
rung
this-
like a bell, but like it
like
gave
this-
a wild reverberation.
like the sound of a lunar lander. Hitting the
no, like it rumbled
Like a gong.
like for a while around that area. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know.
That could also be attributed to the lack of gravity.
Yeah, or yeah.
Gravity even pulls sound down.
Yeah, I was like the sound of the impact of the lander hitting the floor of the moon. I don't know.
So
I'm
that's
not
what
a
I mean.
scientist.
But it's not. You don't think it's a space station for aliens and it's hollow inside, like the Death Star?
Like
That's
if
what
they are,
that
those are
evidence
some-
says.
That's what I think it
If
says.
they are, there's some really boring ass aliens. Like I
True.
want to see some fucking Independence Day shit.
Like all the things with aliens, like they're boring.
Yeah, pretty fucking boring.
So that's what I'm saying. I'm taking one thing and then extrapolating from that it's an alien space station. That's where shit with conspiracies
Yeah.
gets crazy.
But that's where it gets fun too, because you can see how imagination goes into like the craziest sci-fi places.
Cool, like movies come from and shit. Like
For sure.
But then there are conspiracies that turn out to be uncovered and true. Like if you just go online and Google like conspiracies that turned out to be true or whatever, one blew my mind because I always thought just living in LA, why is it that we don't have public transportation?
Oh,
and then
yeah,
I figured
you know
out,
about it. Okay.
that the auto manufacturers during that day, we used to have trolleys that went all the way to Santa Monica for like 10 cents or whatever.
The railroad tracks are still in the ground.
Yep.
And there's so many train tracks in downtown
They're actually
LA.
rebuilding on top of some of those tracks to
Right.
do the current metro.
But what they did is the auto manufacturers got together, created shell corporations, fake corporations, and they were train corporations, and they bought them all up, and then they took out the tracks, took out the trains, took out all the trolleys, and they forced the LA citizens to go ahead and buy auto and buy
also
gas
freeway.
and all that.
Freeway is a big thing too.
Freeway.
Building up freeways instead of building up.
And then something that I've been talking about a lot with Joe recently is that one of the reasons why the IRS doesn't just send you your tax form and just say, here's what you owe, is because a lot of these companies like TurboTax have paid off our congresspeople on both sides of the aisle to make sure that it's not easy to do your tax.
Yeah, we should definitely do a whole topic on that. But I think just the whole point of Conspiracy Corner is to get people to think outside of the box, and also be open to the fact that maybe the things that you were taught in school, or maybe what your parents believe, or your own society,
Or even what the news tells you.
or whatever. Yeah, you gotta take it with a grain of salt because you gotta look at motive.
Yeah.
The motive
That's
is, I
huge.
think, sometimes it's kind of crazy, like the whole aliens probed my sister because we're cattle for them.
Well, aliens are horny too sometimes.
That's true.
Aliens like anal too.
But I think for me, there is if you take a few steps back from the ludicrous, right? There is some type of motive, and I think it's money. I think it always boils down
Usually
to
it's
money.
money.
Yeah.
And so if you want to open up a lot of these conspiracies and ask the money question, it gets interesting, right? You want to talk about 9/11 being an inside job, and then you want to say that a missile hit the Pentagon in broad daylight in front of one of the busiest freeways in the United States. I don't know, you lose me. But if you want to say that the United States government knew that the 9/11 hijackers were here, which, by the way, the FBI fucking has confirmed that, and they didn't do anything about it, they didn't pick them up, didn't fucking question them, anything, then, and they allowed all this to happen because they wanted to launch major wars, which is what ended up happening. I find that to be a more interesting.
They need a reason, a
conspiracy.
scapegoat, right?
Exactly.
So, but that's what I'm saying is that like your umbrella of conspiracy and all the stuff that goes into that kind of gets lost by the end of it. But that's like, how can you blame people that look at the end result and be like, that's fucking crazy?
I think it's on purpose, though. I think that a lot of times the government, and this is a tactic that the CIA has used a lot, where they purposely provide misinformation, and part of the misinformation is true information, so that they can make sure that the stories seem plausible while they discount the stories.
You know how much it would hurt our nationalism and our pride if we realized that we were actually the aggressors and the fuckers of the world?
Yeah, it would destroy it.
Yeah, because we're always fighting for freedom and democracy. That's our brand, right? We come in and we liberate these people and we help these countries out. But in reality, we liberated Iraq and Libya and all these countries, and they're doing worse now than ever because of our involvement.
I disagree. We liberated easily 1 million Iraqis and put them into coffins.
Nice.